Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the prayer. Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use it in our directives for the common good, for the honor and glory. Amen. Amen. Call to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara.
Here.
Mr. Conrad,
Present.
Mr. Thompson.
Public comment, and we have Mr. our State Representative Troy here to give us an update.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. The reason I'm here as your state representative is because we have a very important issue on the ballot on May the 6th, State Issue 2, which I worked with a Republican state representative from the area, Representative Scott Oschlager, and he and I were the co-sponsors by both houses of the legislature late last year to be placed on the May 6th ballot. What this particular issue does, it extends for 10 more years what has been a very beneficial program to the state of Ohio. And I have a sheet I gave out, and I have another one here that what it's done for the bill. What state issue 2 needs is authorization from the voters to continue the authorization in the Ohio Constitution. Basically, issue $2.5 billion in bonds over the next 10 years, $1 billion a year for improvements. This is a program that first started in the late 80s. In my opinion, it's been one of the best ideas the state of Ohio has ever come up with. And issuance of bonds for things like water line, sewer line, road repairs, bridge repairs, solid waste, waste. And in small communities like Timberlake, it's been a real godsend because a lot of these projects have resources. Some things do. And so there is no increase in taxes with this issue. This is not a bond issue in terms of you're going to have to pay additional property taxes or state income taxes or state sales taxes. This is covered under the existing resources of the state of Ohio. Under the Ohio Constitution, we have 5% of our budget. We are actually less than 2.5% on that. So we are in good shape in the issue of these bonds. That is the one good part. The other part of it is the decision on which projects this is about issue where this program, state capital program, are all made at the local level. They are made by what's called the district integrating committees, and it starts here in Lake County in the county engineer's office with representatives of villages, the townships, and the commissioners in the cities decide score a certain way system. And when Lake County is done to what's called the District Integrating Committee, which is made up of Lake, Geauga, Portage, and Ashtabula counties, and then they score those projects, and then those are the projects that get funded. The state of Ohio decide what gets funded. We just put up the money for the state bond issue. And over the history of this program, I have out a sheet here. The village of Timberlake has received close to $1 million. About $705,000 for 4 separate state capital improvement projects over the life of this bond issue over the last 30-something years. The Timberlake Road and Drain Rehabilitation, Timberlake Road and Drain Rehabilitation, Timberlake Road and Drain Rehabilitation, Timberlake Road Drain and Rehabilitation, second phase, sanitary sewer rehabilitation, In 2015, you had village-wide paving improvements where the village received $243,000 out of this program toward the entire cost of that project. And then there was a grant early in the program for storm sewer repair. So it's been beneficial to the village of Timberlake. But again, we need authorization by the voters because the authorization expires on July 1st, 2025. So that's why this is on the May ballot. Would have liked to have had it on the ballot last year, but as you know, there've been a whole bunch of state issues clogging up the ballot lately. Another point of why is this called state issue 2? There's no state issue 1 because just about all the state issue 1s we had the last few years. No, for some other states are doing it consecutively. Consecutively number these state issues as they go up. So the next it will be state issue 3. Obviously, any local issues follow behind that. They're trying to eliminate some confusion on the part of the voters in terms of too many issue 1s over the last couple of years dealing with the myriad of issues. So I would just urge citizens. Timberlake, it was the officials of the village of Timberlake to certainly talk to everyone. Make sure they vote on May the 6th because there's not a lot on the ballot and probably is not going to be a very heavy turnout. But it's very important, I think, to the citizens of the state of Ohio, communities, that this help through this state infrastructure capital improvements program remains, and that we're able to extend it for 10 more years. And the program was funded at $2 billion for a 10-year period, or $100 million a year. Well, there has been inflation pressure on the cost of infrastructure. That's why this particular program will be for $2.5 billion over the next 10 years and approximately $250 million a year. And again, it gives you the opportunity as a local community to have some pressing infrastructure needs, apply for these projects, hopefully score correctly local integrating committee starting at the engineers level and get some funding out of this particular program. So again, no tax increase. This is basically dollars without any additional taxpayers. How can they? Because a lot of the bonds that we've issued over the years have been retired, so there's more room on our debt service to do this. And again, we're in very comfortable shape. Debt service in the state of Ohio. We have the highest bond rating possible for a state budget of our size. And certainly, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I would certainly urge you to tell your citizens, hey, make sure you go vote on honor before Tuesday, May 6th, and vote for state issue 2.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
right.
you.
This one
Thank you.
funds OWPC or PW. This is what funds OPWC.
This is the OWPCC. This is it. And I actually in 2014, the last time it was renewed, I was county commissioner at the time. I was the chair of the committee for Lake County, urging people to vote to renew that for another 10 years. But that 10 years is up. So we do need that constitutional authorization for the state to be able to issue these bonds for another 10 years. Yeah.
Any thoughts about change to the local match for communities of small size like Timberlake? Because that's the hardest part of obtaining that money is the 20% local match that's usually required.
Well, a lot of it also involves, the scoring system that takes place there. But I mean, there are some of these projects, that possibly don't even have to have a local match. I mean, that's not the scoring is basically done at the local level, and obviously, the more that a local community is going to put in toward these. But there's also a small government set aside. There is a pool of money as part of this program that the larger communities that have the wherewithal to put up a lot of matching funds would not be eligible. It's like Timberlake would be eligible for that pot of money.
Okay, thank you, Representative.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, matter on the lake. Try to hit every community in the district before election. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else for public comment? All right, turn over to the chief. You have something is there a presentation? Go ahead.
Well, you want the presentation?
Yes, here's another sheet.
Jackie was gonna do.
Thanks.
That's right.
So I have Officer Christopher and Officer Lawrence that will be doing it. Unfortunately, Alicia Nagy, she just adopted another baby. Baby had to have immediate surgery this past week, so she's been kind of tied up in the hospital this week. So, gentlemen, know the drill. And we'll do the- It's any regional, by the way.
So Chief stole my thunder a little bit. Alicia apologizes profusely that she could not be here. She had a family emergency. So I'm going to be the person putting the presentation on. The purpose is to have a discussion with council about the possibility of creating a police benefit association for the village of Timberlake. Give you some experience, some background on this. Alicia and I went out to Geneva on the Lake in 21, and we started a benefit association for Geneva on the Lake. In the 4 years that we've run the organization, we've helped numerous amounts of officers and community members within Geneva on the Lake. How we did that is we went to local businesses, asked for donations, put on several events throughout the year. I myself sponsored a golf outing. That's what I'm good at. Getting people to go play golf.
Not the golf part, right?
Well, yeah, I'm terrible at golf. Alicia is really good at fundraising. So she did like raffle baskets, the things that you normally see within charity organizations where you go up and there would be a purpose or there would be a theme of it. So in those 4 years, I think the highest we had in our account was $30,000. We managed to make sure that every dime of that was accountable. How we did that is through the structure in which the state recommends. So we have a president, a vice president, and then 3 board members. I have like an odd amount. And everything that we expended on, we took a vote. I was the president, Alicia was the vice president, and we had several different members. They came and they went because of well, they just left the Geneva on the Lake. Alicia and I'm just for clarity, we are both leaving Geneva on the Lake in May. The chief out there is taking a position actually over in Eastlake. And we decided it's best that we leave as well. We both started, or we both worked at Timberlake. I worked here for 10 years. What I can tell you is the benefit to the village and the officers I've seen firsthand. It gives the officers something to have some community experience as well as camaraderie amongst the officers. So they get together more often than just being on a ship, right? You pass each other. You're actually be able to participate in these sponsored events. So that's the pitch in a nutshell. We're really good at this. We've done it for 4 years now, never had an issue with anything. And we'd like to bring that with our experience to the village of Timberlake. So with that, I'm open for any questions you have.
So, raise it, like, start the organization, you can fundraise, correct?
We would like permission to start a benefit association for Timberlake.
I don't want to speak on behalf of council. Probably be helpful if there was something in writing that would give us what the structure is. I mean, you gave us a sort of.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sketch, but it would be nice to have what are the goals, what you're going to do with the money. I mean, that's what council would want to know before they would say, hey, that makes sense.
So Lawrence is going to get the bylaws. The way this is structured, we have to register with the state of Ohio as a charity organization. With that, I have to put in the bylaws. They have to be approved by the state. And then we have to report to the state as well, all our gross earnings throughout the year. I have to file taxes like everybody else. So with this structure that we've had in place prior, it's worked out very well. The bylaws are kind of mirrored off of the Geneva on the Lake bylaws. I just didn't want to bog you guys down with a ton of paperwork, but yeah, we're pretty good at this.
Really, the only path is to use for Timberlake Police
Correct.
Association.
Yes, we need permission from council to create this. And then, we certainly would like, at a minimum, 2 council members on the board.
Well, I think it would be nice to have council have the opportunity to discuss it after we had a chance to read through it. The money's gonna be used for what?
So perfect example is Officer Nagy, Al Nagy, that is, not our Nagy. Just recently passed away from Brattenall Police Department, unexpected. I attended his funeral up there, and we as an organization would give, certainly send flowers on behalf of the Timberlake Police Department, Village of Timberlake. We would also make a monetary donation to that family. So that's a perfect example of what we would, that's why we would be an
Is
organization.
that listed in here? What things that you?
What you're looking at is just a rough draft as of right now.
Okay.
It's giving you pretty much the general idea of what we're gonna be doing with those funds. But it's not just helping out other officers, it's engagement with the community. So if we wanna throw on a shop with a copy event, we're gonna need funds for that. We don't wanna draw that right from the village. We're gonna raise our own funds and provide those kids with, an experience that we can engage with them. More of a community engagement tool, funds to get back into the community, not just in Timberlake, but even in surrounding areas. Patrolman Act, you wanted me to stress to you guys that exceeding our footprint inside of the village with this police association is gonna be crucial, because we need to engage in other communities, so we can also get funding from them. So if they need help from us or something, we might be able to make a donation to their police association or their nonprofit.
So a good example of that would be the Eastlake Police Department puts on a golf out over at, I think it's at Blackbrook. We put on a golf outing, we would sponsor something for them, they would sponsor something for us. That community engagement, we get officers going to each events, get to know our neighbors a little better, things like that. Alicia has an event that is tentatively scheduled for July. It's Christmas in July. So that's kind of her stepping off point. We're not coming to you empty-handed. We're bringing $2,000 from the benefit association that we're going to transfer into the new account. We would end up changing the name. We have an account at Chase Bank. We'd end up changing the name on the account at Chase Bank. So startup costs going to cost council nothing. We'll pay for that out of the funds we're bringing over. And when you guys get a chance to read through it, I guess we can talk again at the next council meeting.
You're speaking our language, so instead of coming to the police department, who wants to say, I want the funds to do this, we're making our own funds.
Right, so what they brought up to me was like, night out against crime, night out against crime, we want to be involved in everything right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it takes money to do that, and how do you raise money? So that's where they really came up with this brainstorm idea and said, hey, how do we do all these events versus, going to the department and saying, hey, why don't you throw $20 this time? They cheaply throw $50. Instead of us everything coming out of their pocket, this is an opportunity that they wanted to really do to really build a village in Timberlake in Lake County. True. So every event that's out there, I know Alicia's already thrown her name into a bunch of stuff, I believe, some of them was national, yeah, that one. She's trying to get, I think, trunk or treat as well. She's trying to get involved in everything so that we can, for Halloween, we could have officers out giving candy out to to everybody in the village. For our parade, there is all kinds of stuff, just so you can see that we're part of the community
That's where they really wanted to go instead of saying, hey, who's throwing in money this time?
So we learned a lot of lessons from, a lot of hard lessons out in Geneva on the Lake. We initially asked the officers to donate $20 a year, and it didn't go. As much as they were well meaning and everything, just be trying to track people down and,
Right.
you know, so. With Alicia's background in, well, she's been everywhere, but her main background with the Mission Barbecue and how they sponsor things around, she has a vast network of contacts that she has, that she gets an incredible amount of donations.
She ever talking, she has ties to the Fleet Guardians, I have some ties to a lot of big corporations down. This is based off of my off duties and capacity, working in a lot of different places, like billionaires. So like, I'm willing to reach out to these people and really, I'm willing to that, they're gonna do what we're doing. We've got a really good man here. Let's.
So this sounds like a great idea, but we have to go through things, but thank you.
Does anybody want me to run copies that or support okay right now?
That's good for now.
Yeah.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Real quick, I have one more thing. Is it possible that we might be able to get an emergency meeting or something like that? Maybe for this, because there's a lot of planning that needs to take place for the July 26th event that Aggie wants to get involved in. We could do that sooner than later. Another month is just that set fine. So if you guys maybe get
The next,
in about 2 weeks.
the next meeting's the third
Third,
Tuesday in June, which is May 20th.
Oh,
That's right.
We're only 3 weeks away, so from our next
Oh,
meeting.
that's good.
Because we can put back this one.
It's gonna happen.
Because
Okay.
this meeting was a week
1 week
later than
late.
it's supposed to be.
Right.
Okay.
So
I think
I don't
maybe
know why this thing is-
I don't want to rush anybody, and I.
Yeah, it would be May 20th.
Yeah, so what does that make?
As I was.
Whatever that.
Yeah, it's 4 weeks.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
May 20th.
It's 4 weeks.
All right, moving on. Reading and disposition of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes of March 18th of 2025, please?
Second.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion, Mr. Conrad seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
On legislation, we're gonna start with O first. It's a resolution 2025-24. The resolution authorizing the mayor to hire Officer Raymond Bowman as a part-time patrolman for the Timberlake Village Police Department and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
Make a motion?
Mara makes a motion, Mr. Joyce seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-24, please. Mr. Thompson makes a motion. Mr. Conrad seconds. Discussion.
Known Ray Beeman for probably about a decade now, a very solid officer. Very community oriented, very a go-getter. Additional thing he brings to the department is he's a certified canine officer with the state of Ohio, with a canine enrollment as well. So if we want to choose to add a canine to the village police department, we dog now with us. So which, by the way, that in a wonderful community, to have our own canine. Ray, like I said, Ray's a very strong officer. I think he's gonna make a great addition. He's looking for a night shift. Which we're definitely needing another strong go-getter on night shift. And I welcome the council's opportunity to let me bring him on and allow him to show what he's capable of doing.
Will the dog get a badge then if we bring him up?
Won't get sworn in every time.
Really?
Seriously, I'm not even joking.
We'd like to have a resolution.
You know,
That's the whole
We
Bible.
would have to, yeah.
it's not-
Paul.
Big volunteer stuff.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Okay. Yep. Let's do it. Get your daughter there. I know they're out there playing.
You can just go out that door and yell to them.
No. No. That's a real. You know who does it?
And put the times on it.
I keep confused at home.
Yes.
The interesting part is Officer Webb will be training him, so
Oh.
you know what that is, two magnets together, right?
Oh, he loves pictures.
When you go. Okay. So we just need to sign the paperwork.
Yeah.
There you go.
Funny man.
Okay, got it. We have one for you.
The 2,500 left, he's into himself. He's great.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll text you later. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Again. Another wonderful officer coming our way.
Okay,
Couldn't be done.
Yeah, nobody wants to work here.
next ordinance 5-2025. Third reading, an ordinance authorizing the creation of the rank of detective within the Timberlake Police Department declared an emergency. Do I have a motion to approve, please? Mr. Meyer makes a motion. Mr. Joyce seconds. Discussion or roll call, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
Aye.
Thank you. Next ordinance number 6-2025, third reading, an ordinance amending wages and salaries for the employees of the Village of Timberlake, Ohio, and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Conrad seconds. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Hi.
Hi.
hi,
Aye.
Aye.
Next is resolution 2025-9, resolution authorizing the mayor to promote auxiliary patrolman Brandon Kubies to part-time patrolman of the police department and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to approve, please?
I'll
Ms. Murray
second
makes a
it.
Motion. This is
Hardwick.
seconds. Or discussion. Roll call, please.
Hi.
Hi,
Aye.
Aye.
Next is resolution 2025-11. Third reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to promote Officer David Clarich from part-time patrolman to part-time detective of the Timberlake Village Police Department, declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
So Joyce makes a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Thompson seconds. Discussion? Unheard. Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next, resolution 2025-13 and second reading, resolution approving the vacation of a right-of-way located in the village of Timberlake. Said right-of-way is currently located where the Timberlake Village Playground is now located, and authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to submit all documentation necessary to formalize the village ownership of said property. Mr. Lillard, did you hear from him?
The only thing he's got on here about that issue is related to the playground grant. That vacating the right of way where the current playground is located so that the property goes into the name of the village as owner. Thereafter, we can sign an agreement with the agency granting the money so that we agree to keep the land recently vacated as a playground for 25 years. This must be done in order to receive the grant monies. We're still working on this, hope to have an update before the next meeting.
Does the grant people know that we need to do this in their?
Yeah, they require that it be deeded to the village of Timberlake, the right of way as it is enough to establish it because they put a bond on it. So it needs to be proven that we can keep it as a playground for the next 15 years. The fear about vacating the right of way is by law, the joining properties automatically get that land. So we have to be careful about how we manage this. So that if we do vacate it, we quickly turn it into a deeded property. And I think that's what Mr. Ganakis is working on. Mr. Lillard, that's to getting a deed in Perry Village took what, 3 years for that property that the school owned. So we're hoping, and if you have any inspiration or learnings from that you could share with Mr. Ganakis,
It's a
please
different
do.
issue.
Yeah, please do.
It's a different issue.
'Cause this is something that we want to get moving so
The
that
ones I'm familiar with are really out of Grand River. They've had a few roads that they vacated. And they did the same thing. Half went to the east owner. Half went to the west owner, so that it stayed at even, but I'm sure that Mr. Ganakis has all that.
But in that case, they had no intention of using that land for anything else, right?
Correct.
we gotta be careful that it doesn't automatically go there.
Well,
Vacated.
yeah, well, that's why we have to make sure that
That's part
they
of
know that
vacating.
it's, yeah, that they know that there's a purpose to our wanting to vacate.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is resolution 2025-15, a resolution amending the permanent appropriations for the village of Timberlake, Ohio for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
Some second?
Joyce makes a motion, Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Next, do I have a motion approving resolution 2025-15, please? Mr. Thompson makes a motion.
Aye.
Mr. Conrad seconds. Discussion?
So for appropriations. We received additional funds for law enforcement professional training. Funds are increasing what we received, we're increasing those line items from personnel expenses, well, by $2,117.40, and other expenses in that fund. We're also increasing line item 1,625.30, buildings and other structures from $80. This reason to proceed second and five for a grant for the resource. Spend money before we ask for that. And then we also have we're increasing
$1,110,420, upgrades, supplies, and materials, $5,000 to $17,339.08. This is for invited grant, about $12,303.80. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce? Aye. Joyce?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next resolution 2025-16, resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to apply for funding through the Ohio Department of Transportation Special Solicitation for pedestrian and bicycle projects. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please? Mr. Conrad makes a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Joyce seconds. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-16, please?
Aye.
Mr. Conrad makes a motion. Mr. Thompson seconds. Discussion. And being heard. Roll call, please.
Joyce? Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Next, resolution 2025-17. Okay,
Basically, I just copied the resolution. of that purpose.
okay, gotcha. All right, has everyone had a chance? Well, do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please? Mr. Conrad makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mrs. Mars seconds. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving resolution 2025-17, please?
So moved.
Mr. Conrad makes a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Joyce seconds. Discussion.
Yes, so this
Go ahead.
is the primary legislation that is required for us to authorize the mayor and the fiscal officer to enter into a LPA federal outlet project agreement, which is detailed in, so it would be Article 1 here, right after the resolution. Basically, a document that outlines the funding we're receiving, and then the ODOT project responsibility assignment. So what us as the LPA are required and responsible for, and what ODOT is required and responsible for. They kind of out of their own admission missed this part of it because the funding has been so fluid lately. If they miss this spot or this step in the process, so we have to sign the agreement, then they can finalize the consultant agreement paperwork. Consultants. They can finally get the authorization to begin work on the design phase. So it's kind of the hoops we have to jump through and that's required by ODOT since it's a federally funded program. That'll allow us to proceed to the next step. Agreement.
While you're on top of it, thank you.
So, question I have here is, how would you define the cost of right of way and environmental documentation?
The right of way cost will be zero because it is already established right away. And Verdantis. We're gonna do the due diligence and for that, but given what you know about state routes, and the size of the right of way, there's very little to no concern that that's a thing.
Okay.
It's just part of the document. They have to include.
So the only way that would have been an issue, and I realize you can't change the wording on this, right? The only way that would have been an issue is if we would have had to go onto somebody's property, then we would have had to compensate them for that, and that would have been our responsibility.
Correct.
Okay.
So the federal funds cannot be used for that.
Okay.
Responsibility. And the same for environmental, which I don't, fully understand what they mean about environmental responsibilities. Besides that, there is an environmental review that is undertaken, so I'm sure if there's any environmental remediation caused or needed caused by the construction of it, that might be captured under that. To make sure you're not disturbing any wetlands. So it's essentially if construction goes afoul and the engineers don't do their due diligence in the initial phase, they do the environmental review and you know, dump stuff into Lake Erie or disturb natural habitat, wetland, et cetera. So.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Guys. Guys.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is resolution 2025-18, first reading. A resolution establishing the community policy policing fund for the village of Timberlake and declaring an emergency. And again, that's what they had brought up the whole, so. We'll see, maybe even if we have to, we'll put maybe a half hour before the next council meeting, we do a little committee meeting or something, so we can. And maybe Alicia will be here to, give us all the background and then answer all the questions. In the meantime, maybe I think we'll get some questions together and then give them to them, then they can. Great, perfect, thank you. Okay, next is resolution 2025-19. First reading, a resolution confirming the promotion of certain officers within the Timberlake Police Department for emergencies. We have. There's a certain one that we have right now, it's on the list that we need to suspend the rules for, or we can leave it on first reading. Next month.
And I was already told that many people are.
Make a bigger cake.
Yes, a bigger cake.
Okay,
Who doesn't like cake?
all right. No, I just want to know, we'll leave it on first reading, okay. Okay, next is resolution 2025-20. Resolution authorizing the mayor to hire Officer Justin Kimmery as an auxiliary patrolman for the village of Timberlake Police Department and declare an emergency. First reading. Next is resolution 2025-21. First reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into an agreement with Bullet Recovery for towing services and declare an emergency. Next is resolution 2025-22. First reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to hire Officer Omar Trosh as a part-time patrolman for the Timberlake Village Police Department and declare an emergency. Is it your fault to be suspended? You need that suspended or? What's it?
You need it suspended. That one.
That's
No.
our first reading. Perfect. Next is resolution 2025-23. First reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to hire Officer Brittany Lovrick as a part-time patrolman for the Timberlake Village Police Department and declare an emergency. We are done with legislature. Next, mayor's report. A couple things, after the last couple of bad storms, we had a couple areas flood out in Timberlake. We were able to go out there. We had it right there at Key Waden and near Nokomis. There was a flooded area. We had to block the road up a little bit, but we were able to get Lake County Sewer out here to clear that up. Then we've been the last 2 weeks, our service guys, Steve Roscoe especially, has been going around cleaning out all the catch basins, raking out all the islands, making sure that we get all the leaves, that anything that can get in the catch basins will basically they're clean. He's cleaning them out. Our problem is, again, we need upgraded sewers badly, storm sewers. I mean, most of our outlet pipes are only 6 inches big and they plug up very quickly with all the leaves that get into the catch basin. So, we're diligently working on that, but we're also working on, of course, trying to get grants for that. So hopefully we can, this next go around, some of this OPWC money will be able to help. We have enough reserve money to get some of this matching fund and get some of these major projects done. The other thing, we have 22 tables from the old hall here that are still at the service yard. They're in pretty rough shape, but they still are good for work benches or if people want to use them for outside for something, but we'll try to find a way to try to get rid of these things. I was gonna put in Timberlake Times. I mean, pretty much they're free to whoever wants them, but I guess when we do first come, first serve, so.
Could we wait until after the sale, the garage sale, so people could
Well, that's true.
Maybe rent one for $2 or something.
Use it for the purpose. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. People need it for breakfast.
I know.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay,
Mayor, do we declare if it's surplus property?
scratch that.
Very-
Scratch that.
Yeah, we already did that. I already have that, but scratch that idea.
John, that goes over, thank you.
They're the
Those
exact
rectangle.
size. They were, except as you saw, they're in rough shape.
Yeah.
They were inside in that trailer, so. Okay, next I received a complaint about a rat issue. I know it's not gonna be a very popular subject here, but everyone here, I put a fact sheet. This was given by a resident that called the health department, and the health department sent them these flyers. Basically, it's a quick rat fact. What do I do if I see rats and so forth? And there's a rat proofing checklist for residential areas. I'll be posting this on the website. I'll post this on the website tonight. I'll also get this over to Keith and get this on the Timberlake Times. But, I also, what I did was, because I received one last year, a complaint from a resident that lived right near the center of town
Awesome.
on the Wassa. And that was last year. They saw, actually 2 times they saw rats in their backyard. And then now this year, there's one, it was on 90 East Shore just by Wobbin there. So basically, we don't know where they're coming from, obviously. My suspicion is, of course, East Lake Power Plant. I did call the new owners, East Lake Acquisition Company LLC. I talked to the gentleman there yesterday and told them that they can maybe get an exterminator out there to just look around and see if there's any nesting going around and if there's anything going on there. Because again, we have no idea where they're coming from, but we know one thing. Timberlake's a great food source for them. So, and we want to try to get them out, but hopefully with this awareness that we can put out there with people and some tips, people locking up, keeping their garbage cans locked up and secure and so forth. If they have to get bungee cords and put around them or drill holes in them like I did, put nails, whatever you got to do to lock up those lids of the animals, not just the raccoons or the
Rats, but the
rats,
rats.
but the raccoons and skunks actually did it too. So,
Them to our cat colony.
We haven't, the rats ate them.
I think the rats overtook them, but I don't know.
Yeah, some new cats, I know, yeah.
I see the
It's a
eagles and the
rat.
falcons, they actually catch the rats. I've seen that. I've actually seen like, oh,
More
like.
ferals is what we need.
It's,
More
I've actually
feral
seen that.
colonies.
Trouble is, we've been tutoring things. So they're not having babies.
No.
So as the cats die off, unless we get 2 feral cats from somewhere. No, not sure. No, it's just not-
We'll get a tariff on that.
Is that a motion? Okay, that's all I have for me. So next, Chris's report.
Okay, earlier today, Mr. Ganaka sent me an email with a couple of updates. One of those had to do with the rental of the facility to the Italian American Brotherhood. Apparently, there was some discussion between, or he sent an email to the mayor and Cindy last week. There's not much of an update from that, other than the fact that he is awaiting confirmation on their 501c3 status. He did get the EIN confirmation from 1995, which indicates it's a 501c3, but he's still waiting for that. Other than that, he suggested that there may be some questions about the size of the function with 110 tickets sold. Whether that's a problem or not, I will defer to Ms. Hardwick on that. Beyond that, he just sort of commentates about if it's a 501c3, why wouldn't you rent to them? And I think those are decisions that council needs to make, whether they're 501c or 3 or not. So what your guidelines are, what you establish, not just 501c3 is one determining factor. I'll leave it at that. Do you want to comment on that? Do you want to wait till your turn?
I'll wait till it's.
Wait till your turn. Sewer issue, we continue to go back and forth, both Mr. Ganakis and I, with Randy Clammer as it pertains to the proper resolution. Randy wants us to just simply pay in the 100,000 and then we'll talk. And I have encouraged Mr. Ganakis that that's not a very strong negotiating position. Um, I think the complicating factor in all of this is that there is a very contentious mayoral race. And I think that's going to maintain all the way through November, because once they get to two candidates, they're both going to be at each other's throat, which means if we bring something to them that looks like a juicy steak for them to use as a campaign issue, they'll do that. And so I would not normally do this, but I would suggest that we lay low and leave it up to them to have to force the issue a little bit. I don't believe, as Mr. Gadakis has probably said, that we should be responsible for that entire bill. The fact that did improvements to Captain Stadium provides no benefit unless you're a season ticket holder.
Not anymore.
For the village of Timberlake. So I do think there has to be some reasonableness in their request. So those are the things that he had on his list. I had one last week while I was in Willoughby Municipal Court. Chris Simon, who's the court administrator, gave me some comparison numbers from 2024 to 2025. Just for sake of comparison, all of 2024, Timberlake had 6 criminal cases. Thus far, we've had 12, on pace for 40 plus. As of all of 2024, there were 11 traffic citations. Thus far, there's 79 traffic citations, on pace for over 270. And there's civil cases as well. But suffice to say, things are a little busier over there. I will tell you, and the chief is aware of this, that there are some growing pains with that. We have to make sure, and I've been working with the officers and the chief on this, that we're following the court's procedures on how we're handling cases, how we're labeling them. The key thing is, and again, the chief is aware of this, if it's a case that might include jail time, it needs to be under a state code. Because if they go to jail, and this judge has a propensity of sending people to jail, we don't want to end up with the bill for their incarceration. We do it under a local code, village code, and they go to jail, we get the bill for them to go and spend time at Lake County Jail. There are some other things we're working through, but they're keeping me busy. I'll be there tomorrow from about 9:30 till about 3 o'clock just with Timberlake cases. So if you have any questions about that, you're certainly willing to take any questions.
Well, it's true, it's just growing. Precedent. So, clear precedent,
The only thing I would comment on is that I'm surprised that there were 11 traffic citations in 2024. I think
I'm
that's,
guessing that probably 4 or 5 of those were on one stop, but that's just my observation. I know well, see, you have to remember, we got OVI cases because people ran into things in the village.
Oh, the
And
guardrail.
each OVI came with at least 3 citations with it.
okay, but in
The OVI,
but in those days, it was Eastlake that was issuing the citations, wasn't it?
no, we did.
Okay.
Last year.
That's
Okay.
how you became chief.
Such a great example, chief.
Were
That's all I got, Mayor.
Were any of those citations, council members?
Moving right along.
I'm up. As far as the IAB wanting to rent the hall, this started back in November of last year. The lady who is a Timberlake resident who is part of this club wants to rent the hall for what they call a night at the races, which is gambling. But if you're a 501c3, you can raise funds rent our hall, according to our guidelines. I can't tell you the number of times, 6, maybe 10, that I've asked the resident who is the member of this IAB to give me the 501c3 certification. And I've gotten everything but,
Got other documents other, but not yet.
right, they even sent me the pull tab bingo cards. They sent me that they have a certificate for that. Well, this is not pull tab bingo, and this is not what they're doing in the hall. So there's going to be gambling, there's going to be alcohol, there's going to be a lot of people. And if they are not a 501c, they're not going to rent this hall. Those are our rules. And the president's been contacted of this association. And he too cannot produce a certificate of 501c. And the last time that they filled out their 990. Yeah, was in 2017. So there's nothing since then that tells me and lets me go to bed at night saying they've followed everything that they're supposed to, for me to let them rent our hall. And I just don't want to start I didn't see that, I don't know that, I didn't hear that. I stick to the rules. Sometimes it's gotten me in a sticky place, but I stick to the rules on this. So it's getting late. It's getting late. Yeah. And I've been asking her for these things since last November.
It's your year on the committee too, right? You've seen the emails, right? Yeah, so I've seen the emails. Yeah, I don't see what's wrong. She's seen it on.
No, I support Councilperson Hardwick's position on this. I think that we open up a can of worms if we allow this to happen without the proper documentation. How do we enforce it at a later date with any other organization?
I mean, I've been with the Village Club and they have a 501c3. So I'm familiar with, what that entails and how the Village Club can, use the hall.
Yeah.
For their benefits and things that they're fundraising. And so they follow the rules.
When is the event?
24th of May.
You asked me, but I'd send correspondence if we don't get it by May 1st, it's canceled.
That's your advisement.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not, if you've been giving them since November of last year to prove that they're a 501c3 and they haven't provided it.
It's not going to come up.
I mean, I think it puts you in jeopardy if you let a group in here and you haven't confirmed that they're 501c3. Especially if they're doing what they're doing.
Doesn't it say on their website they're a 509?
On that 1994 paperwork that they sent me, I read it the way I read it. It says that they were a 501c3, but what they do and how they do it for their organization actually puts them under a 509c. That's the way I read that paper from 1994.
That's the way I read it.
But I was so young back then, who knows what it said. So, for me to write it to them or for Mr. Ganakis?
Well, I think you need to direct, since he's taken the lead on it, I
Mhm.
think you need to direct Mr. Ganakis how you want him to proceed.
Okay,
We already wrote them a letter. I believe that he's just waiting for them to provide it.
But I think you're at a point now where you have to say,
by a certain date.
we don't have it by this date, not only, because you need to reopen that date.
Yeah.
Because somebody might want that date.
Mhm.
And if they're not gonna be able to do it,
and it was. And May, June and July are very booked up, so.
Well,
I'd
the
hate
other,
to see it be canceled, because if they've got 110 tickets out there. It says this place on it, that,
You might have a situation where they show up. they just show up because
I've looked online to see if there's any advertising for this event at all, even on their website, and there's not a word
Nothing,
about it.
okay.
That's another thing. I
Probably
mean,
inside.
I saw it, like I said, I saw it from last year, some advertisement for last year's event, same thing, night at the races, but nothing for this year specifically. That's kind of odd. It's like, okay, if it's a month out right now, I mean, what's going on here?
Hey, chief. Where's that put us? If they're not 501c3 and they're gambling.
Probably in the bit of violation.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about our rules, I'm just talking about legally. You know, the gambling in Ohio is only allowed in certain places and under certain circumstances.
The gambling when it's pari mutual,
What's that?
the gambling when it's pari mutual where the money in goes out minus the fundraising big take, right? That's how horse tracks operate.
It's gambling is gambling. There are certain places, certain ways you can get away with it under a 501c3
Right,
because it's used for a charity purpose.
horse tracks are licensed
Sure.
by the
sure,
state of
but
Ohio,
right at the races,
as are
they're all
casinos.
But, right.
It's like selling a 50-50. Do you have to be a 501c3 to sell a 50-50?
Well, that's where.
The gaming, when you start looking up the laws for gaming in Ohio,
I think it's defined as games of chance. isn't it,
games of
Chief?
chance. Yeah, if you pay money expecting to win something back, that's called a game of chance. Because even if you buy a scratch off, you give them $1 and you're hoping to win the $1,000 kitty. So if you're expecting to give money to get money, that's called games of chance.
I think, yeah. Play
Like
it safe.
the 50-50 raffles that they do at the captain's game or at the Guardians games. Those are sponsored by
Charity.
captain's charities or the Guardians charity funds. And so that becomes the governing body in terms of what it's used for. Now, and all of that money doesn't touch the baseball entity. It just goes straight to the foundation that
And the money from the Italian American Club that they raise, their fundraiser goes to their club functions and their,
It'd be like the village club raising money, right? Same-
exactly,
same
and
premise.
right, so what I'm saying is they're not really like a charity per se, and that's the thing, and they may have some tax exempt status, okay, but they're not per se, like I said, qualified under that 501c3.
Well, let's get them to verify the 501c3 or, you know.
Yeah. Okay,
And like I said, we're really booked up. Officers, there's gonna be some extra work here for gentlemen because some of the people do want alcohol. So I will, I let the chief know which parties and events need officers. And I've had 2 people now ask me when the Village Club has 2 of their events. One was earlier and one's coming up that, hey, can't you, they'll be out by noon. Can't I run it from noon to midnight or noon to 6 and I don't double book anything because if the village hall has that, the Village Club has it here and they start playing games or they start doing what they want and whatever. I mean, somebody wanted to come in here after the Easter egg hunt. So I just, no, because the bathrooms need to be cleaned, the kitchen needs to be cleaned, this room needs to be cleaned. So I do not book 2 events on the same day. And
You were asked even recently, do you mind making a slight altercation?
yeah,
To the policy?
like,
Just
like,
asked her. No, politely but directly, and she said, no.
yeah,
I'm
to
not-
deviate away from it. I'm sorry. We don't do that. I don't do that. So it's been a tough couple months for the hall supervisor. That's it. Oh, so much so.
well, thank you,
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Conrad.
Oh, boy.
Timer, Mr. O'Leary. All right, so
It's
as
on.
as we might have caught as we amended the appropriations that we did receive another grant from the Ohio EPA that we only received half of it, which I thought meant that was all that we were gonna receive was for the news. Yeah, for the new salt spreader and control system. And I woke up one morning and I had an email, that was, that we got the other half, which was the larger piece, which is for the salt shed over at the maintenance garage, so a new structure. Probably will end up being more of a multi-use structure, but can accommodate the use of, for the intended, part of the grant to store salt in the winter time so that we can pick it up from there if we need it or use it in other areas of the village. So it was a pleasant surprise. Guess I've gotten so good at grants, I just get them now. I don't even have to do any more work. But no, a lot of work from Mr. Roskis and the mayor on that one, so pleasantly surprised with that. Also, we have another follow-up meeting with the federal EPA on that one, about the technical assistance program. And what that is a program to assist villages and communities with stormwater management and wastewater management. So we had our first kickoff meeting, thought we were good candidates. They sent over kind of an agreement, but it's not a formal agreement that needs sign or council approval. But what they're gonna do is put a few monitors on our storm sewer systems, flow meters, gauges, etc. Map out our entire storm sewer system and come up with a master stormwater sewer plan for us, free of charge. My favorite type of grant or program. So this will allow us to have a better view of what our current system looks like and what the state of the art master plan should be, right?
Timeline on that.
I'm not sure. Our meeting's Thursday at 10 o'clock in 2 days, so we'll have a little more information from the larger team that they're looping in. They do work with a contractor that does a lot of the heavy lifting and the on the ground work and surveys. The one responsibility of the village in that is to assist with surveys and or garner community involvement should it be needed to put input into the plan, similar to what we'll do with the sidewalks when those designs come about. But this is step one of updating our plan to make sure we know what is there. Not that CT or Verdantis now didn't do a good job or our old maps aren't accurate. Just a lot of stuff changes. Tree roots grow into it. We had backups that we had to get cleaned out. Under the ground infrastructure changes over time. So this will be a fresh look at it, kind of get the opinion of the Ohio EPA and the federal EPA, what would be best to do. A lot of it is about stopping runoff, getting into the lake, that we don't have those algal blooms, etc., that are caused by stormwater runoff and contamination of the lake. So that is quite exciting. And this also will give us access to the state revolving fund, which we currently don't have because of the status of the types of materials we have that we need to apply. So our maps as they are and kind of the information we have isn't up to par for what we would need for those state revolving fund grant applications. So this will help get us to that point where we can start to finally find some storm sewer funding to the long awaited upgrades to our storm sewer system. So it's been interesting to work with them and we'll have that meeting Thursday and I will report back any findings on that or any interesting updates for council. Also just wanted to thank the Village Club. I did attend the Easter egg hunt. They always do a great job with the kids events. I think I feel like I see a new young family every time I go to one of these events. And it's good to see the community come around and really put on a nice event for the children. So kudos to the Village Club and the Parents Club. What do they call themselves? The Parents Club. They do a fantastic job. I know I saw Preston with your wife here running around. I think
Actually, the Parents Club have become the new president, secretary, and finance.
Fantastic.
So
That's great.
they're actually the Village Club. These gals are now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is great. Yeah, they do a great job and put on a good party. So we're always happy to come when we can. The mayor mentioned Lake County Sewer was out for kind of an emergency stormwater flush. We had a backed up storm sewer that would not drain. We were hoping it over time would drain as most of them do slowly. But this one did not drain. It actually flooded out the road a little bit. So we had them out. They cleared it out for us. They did recommend on the next cycle when we're ready for kind of maintenance flushes that we often do after the spring and that the leaves start to fall down off the budding trees. Get a cleaning in the spring and the fall is usually our normal cadence. So we'll get them back over in that area to scope it and clean it even better. And then lastly, I want to thank Councilman Joyce for going to School of Innovation, Willoughby East Lake School of Innovation with me today for our annual talk to third graders about local government, what we do on council. This year was a little different. We were actually kicking off their government unit, where normally we're later in the unit, the lesson plan, so that they have an understanding, but we got to introduce government, the three arms of government, three levels of government, share a little bit about what we do, Village of Timberlake. So always welcome company on that. So thank you for coming. We're quite the dynamic duo up there.
That's it, embarrass your daughter.
I did get to embarrass her. I was told not to, but got to take that opportunity. So that's good. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Joyce, next.
Okay, trees. We've had some recent storms. And I'm Irish, so I hate even mentioning this, but we've had minimal damage. We Irish don't like kicking sleeping dogs, so it's we're hoping that it continues. Last meeting, I had said that we had scheduled the Ray Yoder to come in and remove the trees that had been identified as damaged on village property. He did that. I think we had 3 or 4 trees identified. It turns out that he removed, I think, 5. As he got here, there was another one that needed to be done. Several residents took advantage of the fact that he was on site and either scheduled some work to be done or had some work to be done. I think the Foxes had him remove some trees that had been on their mind. As Mr. Conrad spoke, we made a presentation to the 3rd grade about how government works. Got some very interesting questions like, have you ever had to fix the village? And one of the things that I mentioned was fix it in terms of, buildings that get knocked down and we have to rebuild them. No, we don't do that. But fixing the village when our police chief quit and we had to find a new police chief. We hired a great police chief and he was able to get lots of good new officers working for us. I consider that a fix because that brought safety back to the village. So that was one I used. One kid, we get great questions from 3rd graders. One kid asked if we had a SWAT team. And we said he was disappointed actually when he found out we didn't. But that prompted a number of other questions from other 3rd graders, like, what is a SWAT team? And then one kid came up to us at the end after all questions were supposed to be over and he said, okay, who's stronger, a SWAT team or the FBI? Just love 3rd graders. Love 3rd graders. Finally, I want to commend Officer Lawrence. I want to single him out. On Sunday night, he stopped a vehicle coming out of the village that had a faulty illumination on a rear license plate. That was our daughter. And it was the kind of thing where obviously no ticket was issued, but she got to experience firsthand the kind of diligence that our officers are showing. And it is the kind of thing also that if somebody hadn't stopped her, she would have driven around for a long time, because who turns on their lights and then goes back to the back of their car to look to see if the license plate is illuminated?
Everybody all the time.
Probably, but it
And he's
is,
on duty.
it was not due to any sort of damage to the car, although you look at that car and it's been through the wars. But it's a 12 or 13-year-old car with 200,000 miles on it, and the light illumination on the license plate has never been replaced. So this was a good thing for her. She got to see what you do to go to AutoZone and buy some bulbs and, you know, take the lenses off and slap the new ones on there. So next time, you won't be, catching her with that. Now, I at first thought that she, was being picked up for speeding because she tends to have a little bit of a lead foot. But, in this case, she was not. And so I just wanted to commend the officer for that and, yeah, no, I know.
wish I could say I remember that, I don't.
Okay.
30 people that night.
Did you? Okay,
Back and forth. I just watch out my window. They get one, let them go, get another one. It's just.
yeah. This is a 2012 Yaris. Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
okay.
Live PD and.
That doesn't help.
Yeah.
TV.
I think it was on Lakeshore Boulevard. I'm not positive.
That
The
helps.
infamous Lakeshore Boulevard.
Yeah, it could have been, she was going up, starting on 91. But she lives up in Wickliffe, but, 30,
Big tape.
Something.
30,
She'll-
right.
31.
Does she work for another agency, the government agency?
No, she's a teacher. She teaches at Gilmore. No, doesn't ring a bell, huh? You were working Sunday night, yes? Yeah, that was okay.
But that was the minor one.
Oh, yeah, well, you didn't issue a ticket, you just, but she, you know, you asked her where she was going and not where she had been, but where she was going and, you know, she's like, why did he ask me that? To engage you, to find out if you had been drinking, you know, so, but yeah, it was, anyway, good job, good job.
You try to use your name to get out of it? No.
She said, I was gonna drop, the fact that my mother and father are both on council, but never got to that point, so. I said he would have given you 2 tickets then.
Yeah.
I just tell my kids, use my name, they'll throw away the key and like.
Anyway, that's it.
Hey,
Okay,
Joyce,
I don't have much, but something occurred to me. We were talking sidewalks at our last meeting and something that came up, I don't think any of us addressed. And that was snow removal. And I know we have talked about it some months ago, about the fact that the village owns equipment that could clear the sidewalk there on Lake Shore.
we don't own it
We
yet.
don't, okay,
You got a Bobcat.
I thought that, yeah.
You should use the Bobcat.
No, we can't use that. No, we would apply and get a
Here.
grant for something.
Oh, okay,
Snow removal, but yeah, we're
Okay.
talking 3 years out now.
right,
so.
right. But that it is on our radar.
Oh, yeah, that's on the
Okay.
radar, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would get a special equipment for that, so.
That's it.
Hey, thank you. It doesn't have a cab. And a heater.
Rest
Works in
warm.
the summertime.
Rest warmly.
Okay.
That's right.
Stop in for coffee at the station.
He wants to be warm as he does, that's it.
I gotta buy one, a nice one with a closed cab.
My next.
You're next,
I
Samara.
think Jerry, I forgot to thank you at the last meeting, you represented Timberlake at the Irish American Club.
Oh.
They recognized Mike Stanton, a previous mayor for Irish of the Year or East Side Irishman or something.
Yeah, member of the year or something like
And I
that.
thought the best person would be that Irish. So thank you, thank you very much for representing Timberlake and honoring Mike Stanton for what he does for them. Thank you also for taking care of the picture. You took care of the picture,
Oh.
the mayor. The mayor has reluctantly, doesn't want his picture on the wall, but we gotta take it. So, there we go, that's a mug shot.
Make a bust of
I
it.
see it.
Very distinguished.
With the frame, you know, the frame doesn't fit, think about that. John, do we have extra frames? Right, right. So now we have to figure out how we're gonna chisel down the frame and put it in or.
Figure something out.
figure it out.
Don't let him be responsible because it'll never go up, so.
This one?
So,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah, he says, yeah. Thirdly, I do get still complaints about garbage cans being in sight and garbage cans should be out of sight. And I know not everybody has the ability to move the garbage cans around islands and so forth. So please, everybody do your best because for me to walk around and knock on doors, I don't really kind of, behave it that way, but, some people just leave other garbage cans even out that way all the time, where they can't be seen from the road, so. Please, we just be considerate of our ordinances. And I also asked the mayor to look into something about I'm not even sure about the company that acquired the land, the CEI land.
East Lake acquisition.
Thank you. That they are talking about what to do with it. I guess Eastlake has put in an interest, would they be able to use it? I thought they said buy it, but they said use it. I saw something in News Herald. I saw a council meeting, so he's keeping a pulse on what that company is going to do and what Eastlake is looking. So that would affect our beach front.
Yeah, it's really strange. So East Lake, CEI or First Energy owned it, then they sell it to this Ida Corporation, who is like a redevelopment corporation, and they
Right.
make, feels like a shell company that is, you know, East Lake Acquisition Company, or there was one out in Toledo that was Toledo Acquisition Company. They keep passing it along. So there's not much paper trail or access to their kind of information. So I think East Lake did pass a resolution to start the process of looking into turning. It's the east side of it as a park,
East side of it.
east side of it, so other side.
The other side of the pier, yeah.
There's people pulse on that, but I saw that I got a couple questions. Right. That's all I have. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Thompson?
Mayor, so I had a resident reach out to me regarding the possibility of implementing point of sale tests in the neighborhood, and that's when you go to sell or buy a home in Timberlake. There's a series of inspections that would require certain things to be up to par, up to code, up to ordinance, in order for the sale to go through before it would transfer the deed in the county. Other communities do this. We do not. I'm not sure if Eastlake does it, but
Euclid does.
yes, they
Dye
do.
test.
Yes, yeah, there's a bunch of different things that could be done. Some of it, you know, if your driveway's cracked or jagged, if there's a trip hazard, if the paint is flaking or faded, sewer and dye tests to make sure, and we do have a lot of problems with that within this neighborhood. The sewers having issues, things of that nature. I know we brushed the topic before. It might be worth revisiting, discussing it. I know one of the issues is some of the items in a comprehensive point of sale test would require expertise that our inspector doesn't necessarily have. So we'd have to hire someone, or we'd have to get someone from the county to do that. It's complicated. It adds more responsibility to the village that we may or may not want. And it does put a burden on our residents, whether they're selling or buying, I could see that the concern that this resident had was, we have a lot of aging properties here. A lot of people don't have the funds to upkeep them, especially people on fixed incomes. So eventually everything's just going to keep deteriorating, and we don't want that. And point of sale is a good time to nip that. So it might be something that we want to discuss and maybe implement small, start small, simple things. Maybe not an entire, like the city of Euclid is a very egregious point of sale test that makes a very arduous process to go through to sell or buy a home. But it could be something that we can discuss. Now, this particular resident also, I believe, owns additional properties within the village, and I don't think they would want us to implement rental inspections. So it's only, they're interested in the point of sale. So it's, tomato, so they're interested in point of sale tests, but I highly doubt they would really like it if we did rental inspections, which the same arguments could be made for rental inspections that we could for a point of sale.
Actually, more so.
I was gonna say, I think there's more so for rentals than there is.
Sure. So,
Yes. Does he want us to open that can of worms?
that's,
Maybe you need to go back. Are you sure you want us to?
that's the thing. That's the thing. So,
Exactly.
At one point in time, the city of Euclid was not as egregious as it is now. And when we bought our first house in Euclid in 1990, we could assume some things and therefore lowered the offering price based on what we were going to have to spend in order to bring it up to speed. The city of Euclid won't let you do that anymore. So they forced me, when we were selling the house, to have new electrical put in, to have new plumbing put in. Not through the whole house, but in certain areas. And then after the electrical was put in, it wasn't, well enough covered so that they had to go back in and do some more. It was really, we sweated it out for a while because we had somebody that was willing to buy it, actually were willing to even assume some of the responsibility for it, and these guys said no. Now, I understand Euclid is a changing community, and as a result, they're having people with less income move in than what used to suffice, but I can sort of see it, but I think that if we do anything, I think we do have to do something for the renters as well, because they're the ones that are probably the least able to assume any sort of responsibility for something that's not up to code. So anyway, just my,
And the couple Airbnbs that we have here as well, I think Mentor just kiboshed the whole thing.
I think we're only down to one though, because Mona is no longer an Airbnb. And Balin's not gonna do an Airbnb anymore. They're just using it themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
They just put $1 million into it. They're not gonna Airbnb it.
all right, because my
that flat roofed one, they put $1 million.
Put a big addition on back of it. At least, I mean,
Oh, they're not. Oh, my gosh, okay, everybody thinks we are.
no, they're not.
because I,
A work session.
Yeah, it's something we can talk about.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about it, and I have personal experiences dealing with these kinds of things. But it's worth the discussion.
Okay, anything else or?
That'll be all. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Roskis, financial reports, please.
$78. State settlement. That last year's settlement was received late. 2021. Sure. Expenditures were $14,082 more than last year. Unanticipated cost of tree removal and table and reduction costs. March 2025 revenue is not comparable to March 2024. Real estate sale. It is too early to tell, but as we continue with the full tax collections this year, unanticipated expenses currently designated surplus for the general fund share of approximately $141,000. Other significant fund activity and miscellaneous. We did receive our quarterly reimbursement payment from Lake County Department of Utilities for construction fees for our sanitary sewers. $1,189. The preliminary activity this month, and we also issued 7 deposit refunds totaling $650.
Good. Thank you. Next, police chief report.
Yeah, short, so I'll talk quickly. March statistics, we continue to go up and up and up. So month of March, we had 373 calls per survey. I'll check the traffic stops to court, which is not a court issue. So we get very often So, continued good work, and we're starting to really look at those numbers and break it down for shift, for officer, all the things that way. Our taser instructor course, thank you for allowing us to use it. We have 28 officers here from multiple departments, one from Michigan, Euclid sent 5, Willoughby sent 5, and the instructors came out and they just looked at the outside view and they said, this has got to be the best venue we've ever had. So they've actually asked if we could have another one this fall, and I said, bring the date. Fixed the parking issue, so problem solved. I'll just close the road down for a while and we'll just put the cars. Guess what? We're sure the road. That way no one has to send pictures to everyone on the council. Issue will be resolved, but it was a great turnout.
My son was walking the neighborhood, saw all the police cars here and thought we were having some sort of event, not a training
good
event, but something was happening and they're getting all sorts of assistance. Yeah.
We'll definitely put a little bit more notice out so everybody knows that maybe a police training sign or something. So
Yeah.
people know they don't get panicked that they see police cars and canines up all over the place. But it was a great feedback from everybody that attended. They loved the hall. They loved the donuts too, especially, you know, they enjoyed that part and the coffee. So thank you very much for that. Staffing changes, new employees. We have Ray Beeman that joined us today. In June, we're gonna have auxiliary, actually push back to auxiliary, Justin Kimmery. He's an Army veteran, 10 years in the Army. He was actually a combat veteran as well. So he's looking forward to coming on to Timberlake. Omar Trichet was from CMHA and also from Cleveland, looking forward to kind of slow it down, not be under the scrutiny. So he's looking forward to being part of the team. Brittany Loverick lives in Eastlake, which is nice to have something so close. For an additional officer, she spent many years at Notre Dame College as a police sergeant, actually, and was actually very community oriented. So that's why she will be joining us in the May, at the next May council meeting. We had 2 resignations. Rashad Whitfield, he left. He was on leave for the last 3 months. And unfortunately, one of our new guys, Vinny Angelosi, he got hired by Heber Heights full time and just can't make it work with the shift. And he's like, if I could stay on, I would. I go, unfortunately, it is what it is. So he couldn't. Really restructuring the department. As Mr. O'Leary said, we've identified that we have a lot of weaknesses the way it was structured in the past. So what we're going to do is in May, we're going to have 2 promotions to sergeants. We're going to have 3 sergeants, 1 per shift. First shift sergeant will be Zachary Krebs or Zach Krebs. Second shift sergeant is in our attendance system, and what you think is the spider web. And then Officer Sergeant Simone will be the 3rd shift sergeant. And really what we're trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that these officers have their officers assigned to them. And now they're responsible for training, issues with court issues, getting stuff over. We have a case going to grand jury. We've been communicating back and forth. So there's a lot of stuff that's, you know, that's happening. The case that we had was a bond, one of the highest bonds I've seen as a police officer, $250,000. And they bound him over immediately to the grand jury. So it was a great job there. So really, I'm trying to look at the department and say, what can we do to really staff it the proper way so that we can handle these issues? And, you know, I've asked most of you guys to really step up. Webb has stepped up. You know, anything I've asked of him, I can say that he has never said no to me yet. You know, and he comes to me, not just doing the job, he comes to me with a lot of great ideas and things to where we need to really push the department and things to coming up with new ideas and different things. And he's very active, and that's why those 2 officers were selected out of everybody that applied internally. We only looked internally. We were not promoting from externally. So those 2 will be part of the May ceremony that I'm bringing cake to. So we're also going to go through performance reviews this year. We've never had before. So officers will have performance reviews. So guess what? Well, do your job. We will know who's doing your job. Not doing your job, we will probably be part of the Timberlake Police Department. We're going to complete another body armor grant for this year since we hired a lot more officers. We're gonna go with the local vendor of, Atwell's. So the officers know that they're gonna pay 25%, PWC will pay the 75%. Finalizing the pre-award requirements for the body camera grant. Johnny and I have been talking about that. So basically what they have to do is kind of a multi-step process. We have to do some initial paperwork, submit it, then they say, guess what? You officially got the award. So here's your $12,339. Now what we have to do is we have to purchase the cameras. Axon, the kind of the plan that I'm going to propose is to get 4 cameras, 1 per shift. We're going to kind of circumvent what Axon doesn't really want us to do. It's because they want us to buy licensing per officer. At that case, we might as well forget it. We're going to be in the 20s of thousands of dollars. So the way we're going to do it, the way, kind of figured out, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do it first shift, second shift, third shift, and supervisor. So we have the cameras. The guy's like, well, we don't really like you to do it that way. I go, well, can it be done? It's like, absolutely. So it dropped our initial quote from $40,000 down to around $16,000.
Will the officers still log in so that it's admissible in court?
Yep.
So they'll still say Officer Webb
Yep. So,
on it.
Yep.
Key to the video is, does it show what took place?
Yes.
It can be properly identified in a court of law.
So
And so long as the proper identifiers are there, and it can be testified to as to its accuracy, it can be played so that it shows what took place from beginning to end. That's all it's really.
Okay.
So the good part of that, Mr. O'Leary is 100% correct. In that agreement too, it's a 5-year agreement. So with that, we also get brand new body cameras at year 2.5. So they'll swap our cameras out, give us new ones. Mr. O'Leary will actually have an account where he can log in and pull up. We can download them to the DVDs. That includes the cloud storage for the next 5 years. So it'll cost us about $800 per year for us to pay for this, to have body cameras, which we make easily and total fees very quickly. So
And we've got the request for the videos, and right now, what I've had to do is just simply ask to have put them on drive. Fortunately, the only couple of ones that I've had so far resolved before we have to find them. For other reasons. And so, but it's gonna come up. We're gonna have to provide them.
Yep.
So,
we got DVDs, we got more as well. So
yeah.
we got thumb drives and everything, whatever they need, we're gonna do it. So, but that's good, again, as we become busy, it creates a lot more issues that we never had in place that we put structure in place. OBI checkpoint has actually moved to from the 30th to the 31st per OSP. They sent out that.
I gotta let the court know.
Right, okay.
I talked to the judge about that last week, and they want to know whether they're going to have additional personnel on the following week,
I'm sure they probably will.
because we're going to have 3 departments that are going to be involved.
Well, actually, 2. So it's gonna, Eastlake unfortunately has a manpower issue. So
But they're still allowing us to use their circle.
yeah, we're doing all of our stuff in Eastlake's parking lot, so.
Well, they have that circle by the flags.
Yeah.
It's an easy point to do the checkpoint from. And so, but I'll advise the court tomorrow that that it's same time frame. We don't have to sit on this.
Same time. So we have,
Just for your daughters, but
quite a few good officers working
Throughout
that
the road.
checkpoint. Let's just put it that way. So we'll have 3 vehicles from the Timberlake Police Department, but we only own 2. Right, we'll bring one of his as well. So we're gonna have 3 of our vehicles ready and enough personnel to type and transport and do all that good stuff there. So.
OSP's coming to help. Ohio State, Highway Patrol's coming down.
So they're on board with that. One of the things we're talking about, I wrote Ryan from there's emails today is vehicles. We officially had 100,000 miles on each vehicle. So I did one a lot of places phoned up phones today with calls trying to get proposals and stuff like that. So we actually have, I found a local guy. The hybrid is a little bit more expensive. He gave me a quote, but Montrose Ford actually has, I think they said 10 Fords on the lot actually as we speak, and as well as Dodge Pursuits as well. So I'm waiting to receive those quotes. He said he'll have to be tomorrow morning by 9 AM. So hopefully I'll get those. We also found a couple of used ones that were very, very reasonable too. And I know Mayor doesn't want to hear this, but there was a one that caught my eye. It was a 2000, it's an old one, 2013 Ford Taurus, like 20,000 miles on that. Black, with all the lights on there, ready for $12,000. So I kind of thought, we'll have to look at it, but 883 could disappear, and that's a new 883, which is 20,000 miles, but we can drive for 20 years and save us a boatload of money while we put the money into a brand new SUV. So options we're going to look at. So we're working on that.
I have a grant in the fire too, by the way. So CPF and the JAG grant will probably open up again. So keep that in mind.
Hoping by next month, I'll have all of our policies sent over to the safety committee so we can start reviewing, approving them, and sending them over to our law director, solicitor, and our mayor for approval, so we can have official policies in place that are certified official. So we're working on that. So we got a bunch of officers scheduled for advanced training. We got so through our budget, through the training budget, we're going through for VR simulators. Officer Webb actually put in for his application in. We got our fingers crossed to be our DRE in Lake County, which is a huge accomplishment. If we can get accepted into the program, it would be wonderful for us. Not only for us as a department, actually for Lake County, because if, like say, Mentor needs a DRE, they call them, they're paying to come out there, and guess what? It's a great tool for us to continue to build what we're building.
DRE, chief? DRE, what's the stand for?
Recognition expert. I tried to do it years ago because we never had standing, so we had to go. So he can live by vicariously through him. So we're trying to schedule more training. We're looking at adding a second tow company, bullet recovery. Reason why is at times on Friday night or Saturday night, and then the rest is made for an OBI. Guess what? We'll wait 30 minutes, 40 minutes for big loans, which poses an issue for legality standpoints because we have 2 hours. We got 2 hours to get into the blow. If we don't, it's an issue. So what we want to do is have a company, whether it's a rotation, and if big loan says, hey, we're 20 minutes out, bullet recovery's right down the street. We're gonna have the same type of agreement. Guess what? Bullet recovery, we need to come up to grab this car. We need to get going ASAP. So, there's been times where I've personally sat on the tow for 45 minutes and I'm like, okay, here we sitting out doing nothing that we can. Our first range at Lake County will be May 16th. So, I'm also hoping that it's going to delay with Opata to load our VR goggles. So hopefully next council meeting, we'll be able to play with the VR goggles. So I'll be able to do a demonstration for what we see. It's kind of interesting. We actually did it with the taser class, and it was actually very interesting to do it. Of course, I tried to ask them to donate that stuff, but it didn't work. So, and then another thing we're looking at down the road is looking at a better software system. Right now, unfortunately, we're using a free system from the state, which free is always wonderful. But we're looking at what the sheriff's department uses since they dispatch to us, because now when we do it, say for example, Webb does an OBI arrest, or anybody does OBI arrest, now we got to get them to send us all their information so we can enter it into the system. So it's a lot of time consuming issues. And the other issue that we have is if Webb, Lawrence had this actually happen the other day where he pulled the car over and the guy didn't have a driver's license. And so, of course, he's trying to look, this guy's kind of gives him some wrong information or stuttered on the incorrect date. So he's pulling up, trying to pull a light on his phone so they can pull the BMP photo. Finally, he called for Eastlake. Eastlake showed up. They pulled up to the BMP photo, confirmed it's him. So there's an issue of, just because it's free doesn't mean it's the best thing that you should be doing. So
That leads that system, or is that separate?
it's a separate system. So one that we currently use does not have any photos at all. So you can give me Johnny's stuff and I'll be like, oh, okay, he knows it. So therefore it's Johnny Roscoe's. The right citation. So we don't, unless we pull it up on our phone, the whole thing. So I actually reached out to Lake County IT. They're willing to give us a demo. We'll wait for pricing as well from them. There's another one, I'm trying to see what integrates with dispatch so that we can have our stuff out there. Another one is tag. This one that's we've used that can pull all the vehicle photos, we can centralize everything instead of kind of having a system that, God forbid, our computers go down, Lake County doesn't have a backup. We have no clue where it's gonna be. So for our server somewhere else, this stuff is secured for us, and that's what we really, that's what we really.
How do you pull it up on your phone? Is it just from your previous jobs that you guys have access or other jobs?
No, so I give them all access for OLED, they want access for OLED, so if they want to pull, we can actually access it on our phone, pull, type their information.
So you can't put that on the computer that's in the car?
You can pull it up on the computer as well, you know, it's not gonna be the same situation as for example, like, so 5 minutes in cab, I'll pull the plate up, I can hit it before the.
Okay, but you gotta go to a separate system.
Now they go to separate window.
Okay.
type of information, and they log it out.
Yeah.
And so it's more of a complex situation.
No, I follow.
Not necessarily the best situation, but again, if we were, as kind of Mr. O'Leary said, if we were the previous years, I would never be sitting here saying, having this conversation, because we don't do it. Unfortunately, you know, when there's more and more volume, there's more and more things that occur, and there's ways for us to get a hold of that. So, and the last thing I'm saying, I say we continue to build relationships with other departments. We just did another coin run within the department. I ordered 50 coins because I got Lake County breathing on my neck for coins. Everybody's asking for coins, so we'll probably do another run in the next couple of months with another edition. So it's really bringing a lot of, I can say, I feel like a lot of, and I see it, there's a lot of camaraderie in the department that officers love working here, and they love the village. And it's interesting when they know everybody by name where they know their dogs. They're like, oh yeah, Bailey. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know who that is. So it's just kind of nice that you know, it's nice to see that and being recognized, even on Facebook, you know, people saying how much we're backing up Eastlake now and helping out everywhere else. And even the Eastlake officers are commending us and saying, hey, it's a new place, and we appreciate you, you know, with that. I was at court one day and ran into a lieutenant from Willowwick. If you ever need, they just call. I got a bunch of eager young guys that are ready to go. So it's just, I think it's the what we're doing, and you know what officers like Webb and Krebs and Lawrence are doing on a daily basis is really putting a map on them. We're hitting repeat offenders for 3 OBIs and cocaine on the top, you know, or a gun, and he's got a $250,000 bond. You know, we're seeing it. So I just want to thank everybody and thank all my officers for every day going on, giving everything that I've asked them to do. I really don't get a lot of pushback. They're like, what else can we do? So thank you.
Well, thank you. You're doing a great job in the office. Good job.
It'll get better.
I love the long reports coming from the police department.
I cut it down short. I apologize. I cut it down short. I'm like, they're gonna kill me.
to us, we got lots of good things to say.
And it's, that's the thing. It's just,
You're competing with Ryan anyway.
there's a lot to report. So.
Who won?
I think the chief.
Okay, zoning and maintenance report for Gary Gray. There was 1 siding permit issued, 2 window permits, and 1 roof, and that was it for the month. Purchases and approvals. Do I have a motion to approve the March 2025 financial reports, please? Mr. Conrad makes a motion, Mrs. Mars seconds. Any discussion? Questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, we have a second public portion. There's no public left. So,
We got public here.
well, he's part of the team.
Yeah.
But you're welcome. Go ahead.
Minutes, June 19th, 21st, that should be a Thursday. We're going to have a village garage sale.
June 19th to the 20th.
June 19th, 21st.
Say Friday. Saturday.
We're looking at the times 9 a.m. to say 4 p.m. So it'll be that window. We'll put a flyer out there. We're gonna get it into the times also. And
In the minutes again, we got it. So 19th to 21st.
And we're gonna do is there's gonna be a sign up sheet on it. So that what we need to do is we just need a list of all the people that are doing it. So we have a grand list. And again, we don't charge for permits, but we need to know who's having it. And we'll basically, so we can approve that list.
Great, Mark.
That's one
So,
thing.
right.
She's right there. Parking, parking, parking.
Hopefully it won't rain, so. I just
You got 3 chances.
cut
In
my-
3 days.
Cut my lawn today and it was like rolling over, people who had cut the corner.
So anyone else, anything else before we have a motion to adjourn? So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, roll call, please. Oh, this is Joyce.
Aye.
Aye.
She wants to.
Aye.
Aye,
8:22 people.
we are adjourned. Thank you.
Night.
Yeah, why did they cancel this table?